Hi guys, welcome to today's episode. Today I'm going to be installing a desk into my workshop. And a desk, you might ask, why would you want a desk in your workshop? Well, for ages now I've been running my laser cutter and I'm forever getting up to my laser cutter, having to put my laptop on top of it, move it out of the way, load materials, that sort of stuff. Then I have to do a longer edit on the laptop. I then have to put it onto my workbench, get a chair out and sit by that. And it's getting increasingly frustrating because the more I use my laser cutter, the more I'm having this issue. So today's solution is a workaround. I'm going to be reusing, or should I say repurposing, some items that I'd previously made. I made a desk for my son, and then within a year he then promptly, of course, as a teenager said, "I don't want this desk. Dad, can you change it to something else?" And I promptly did, thus ending up with all these spare parts. So I'm going to use these parts to go in an area where I need it, so I can use my laptop right by my laser cutter. Okay, so the plan is to mount the desk on the column, but at the same time I don't want to sacrifice the space for the storage where I keep my toolbox. So let me think. I could use French cleat system to make my desk adjustable to be higher or lower on the wall, just like my tool wall behind me.
Like you ain't already got enough cleat wall? Really? They're not even that good.
Oh dear, looks like these French cleat walls might be triggering some people. Cue the music that nobody wants to hear. I'm just playing with you. Speaking of music, I have a friend who's a musician slash YouTuber, and strangely enough, just recently upgraded his desk. Now, I'm not one to have desk envy, but hey, check this out.
And if you like Tesla content, do take a look at my other videos popping up for you now. Did I mention I've got an amazing new height adjustable desk? I'm Will, this is the Tesla Jigsaw. Thanks so much for your support, I really do appreciate it. Bye for now. That's so cool.
Now with that desk in mind, I've got a better idea. So to get this better idea working, I need to prep this wall and get it right. Let's get to it. The first part of this project is framing out the wall. Now ideally you'd use full length timbers on this, but I'm reusing what I have to be more cost effective. So I've created 4 frames to essentially then go into sections onto the wall where I can then level these up. So I'm constructing these as lap joints so that I can get the most strength out of them. I'll then glue them together and then screw them together. Initially I thought, I'll make the lap joints with my sled, and this swiftly became apparent that I shouldn't have been doing this. It was going to take far too long. So off camera I cut these with the bandsaw and created all the lap joints. Here I'm then gluing them up into the frames that I then secured to the wall. While securing them, I used packers at the back of the frames to then ensure everything was all flat and level. Now I've got the wall all prepped, ready to take the desk. The next phase is to reinforce the back because it no longer had the desk frame to support it. So I wanted to fill in the back section with a panel, and the easiest way with this from a sort of repurposed perspective that I couldn't deconstruct this again was to use pocket holes to secure a panel in place. Now this project was you could call it a winging it project if you want, But essentially it was made up as I went along to try and use what I had. Now you can see here I was mocking up what panels I had and how I would then store this drawing board in the back of it, and then worked my way from that going forwards, how I then secure side panels and the back panel. Now these side panels are secured then with furniture bolts. I've used these quite often in my plywood furniture. I think they're a really good, what you'd call a knockdown fixing. They have a very coarse thread that bite really well into plywood furniture. And it's just all about prep, about drilling the holes, countersinking them, opening them out, and then ensuring the clamping panel has a clearance hole on it to allow you to then pull those parts together. Adding these side panels gave that strength to the desk that I needed, and also gave me the ability to secure a back panel that would create then the pocket drawing board to go. For this desk to work the way I wanted it to, I had to create a rail for the desk to slide up and down on, so that I could then have that movement that I needed for it. These were just then some construction ply that I had lying around. I then glued 2 strips together, which gave me that really strong strength that's going to take the weight of the desk. This later then gets secured onto the wall where you saw me doing the prep work. To get this to slide smoothly the way I wanted it, but also have that relatively tight tolerance so that the desk's not going to wobble and move around, I had to play about with using some laminates to shim and get that clearance just right, so its side rails are nice and tight so it couldn't move, and also just loose enough for it to slide up and down freely. So it's getting that fine line balance between the two. Now that that's sliding the way I want it, the next phase was to secure it onto the back of the desk so that I can then assemble everything all together. Now that the basic construction is done, I need to do some work on the computer and get some laser cut files sorted out. Now let's get into that office. Oh no, wait, now I remember why I've tried to make a desk in my workshop. So overnight I sorted the files and quick as a flash I'm back on it again. Wait, hang on, this is Sandy. Moving on. Right, so yes, I decided to make a couple of brackets up for a light fitting, and also made a decorative back panel to fill in a gap that I didn't have material for, and I think it worked out really well. It's going to give me something a bit more interesting to look at than just a big flat white panel. The brackets were a repeat, one to fit onto the desk and the other would then mount onto the light fitting. This is just a little flexible joint that I'm creating. It's a similar technique that I've used on my camera on before, where I create a square hole for a coach bolt and then secure them with nuts and then just give enough friction for it to move. I then created a small little shallow box for the light to secure into. These are like LED lights that have the 3 different settings so that you can go from all the different Kelvin settings, so you can have daylight or a warm white or a warm yellow. I created some mitre joints on the little box that I made just to give me some good practice and using my table saw sled to cut the perfect 45 degrees. These then got all secured together and glued and finished in some grey Rubio to give it that contrast. Again, I didn't want it all white, but it just gave it that little bit of a better finish than it would have been if it had just been left raw. Once this was all assembled, I then patched some wiring in for the light switch across the top and hid that and tucked that away between the little fitting that I'd got. So here we go. I've got a desk now that I can work at standing position, and I get to store my toolbox underneath. That means I can then just quickly load stuff up into the laser cutter, run the files without having to move anything around. If I've then got files that I need to edit for longer periods, I can then drop the desk down, and then I can set up my drawing board if I need to on this desk. Then obviously I can then do my edits on videoing. So I'm really happy with the outcome. It's going to be a real good addition to the workshop. So I hope you like the video. Oh, before I forget, there's one last thing I need to add. Let's not forget French cleat logo.